What's up guys, Fish Tank Mike here. Just wanted to apologize for not having a video out in a while. I've obviously been very consumed by what's been going on in the world. I know it's been very crazy and I hope you and your family are doing well. This won't last for forever and hopefully we can get back to some kind of normalcy here pretty soon. But yeah, let's go ahead, let's lighten the mood up a little bit here guys. Let's check out some of the tanks we have upstairs. We have 4 of them. Talk about some of the beta tanks, check out the Aqua Terrarium, as well as the forest tank. Two of the tanks up here are of course Betta Aquariums, and sorry the glare is crazy. Let's go ahead and let's wait till it's a little bit darker outside. That's a little bit better. There's Kevin. He's doing really good. He looks hungry though. Let's grab some food. Gotta move our little makeshift funky lid here. Give him some of these little beta nuggets. He loves those things. Just a few every day and he stays happy. But here's the deal guys, this tank, it sucks, but it's also perfect, okay? It sucks from an aquascaping standpoint, and when I created this aquarium, I did try and aquascape it and make it look pretty, but over time, it just kind of got crazy, and I let it do what it wanted to do, and thus, the aquascape sucks. It's not great. There's algae growing in here. We'll zoom in on this stuff in the back. I just kind of leave it. I take some of it out every once in a while, but I don't let it bother me. It's still a really fun tank and I enjoy looking over at it, but the highlight is Kevin, not necessarily the scape. So I just let it do its thing, and in turn, it turns out to be a really perfect Betta Aquarium. Super low maintenance. I don't need to do a ton of water changes on this thing. I don't need to do a lot of trimming. I probably have only done that 3 or 4 times since we set it up several months ago, and I like it. I'd much rather have a really good environment for the fish that I love instead of just always being focused on that aquascaping component, which I know you guys know that I love. I do love doing that, but it's okay if it turns into something like this. If you're more interested in this aquarium, there's of course a setup video where we made it, so I recommend you go check that out. I'll try and put a link for it in the description for you. But basically, we just have this flimsy lid on here just in case Kevin is a jumper. I don't know, I've never seen him try, but just in case, always a good thing to have. And then we have our Awaza hang on back canister filter that is filtering our water. And then we have our ONF Flat Nano Plus LED. One of my favorite LEDs. We're gonna see it over here on some of the other tanks as well. Active substrate down here with the hair grass. There's a pink flamingo crib hiding in there. Baby tears, one of my favorite plants. I have it in a couple of my tanks right now, and I've just never really given it a try until, you know, up until recently when we put it in some of these, and I really like it. It grows really fast, and it always seems to provide the look that I'm looking for. We got moss, we got some narrowleaf java fern, and some rotala in the back that I just kind of ignore. If you're looking to get some plants, you still can despite all the quarantine stuff going on. BucePlant.com, I got a code, aquaprosBP, gets you 15% off plants. I gotta plug that, and they still have plants coming in, new good stuff. I'm actually getting a shipment of some new things here pretty soon. But really, that's all there is to say about Kevin's tank. Not so great of an aquascape, but a perfect environment for him. Now let's check out Richard the betta fish's tank, okay? There he is chilling. Richard is not the most beautiful fish in the world, but we love him all the same, okay? He's still an awesome little dude, and look at, he's always snapping around the tank. He's been through kind of some ups and downs, like visually speaking. He's perfectly healthy, but he doesn't have the best colorations. You notice he has some red going on. It's not fin rot or anything like that. He just, I don't know, this is just the way he is. His tank though is very similar to the tank that we just looked at Kevin's tank, okay? It's just a very simple scape. This one is a central mound style, I guess. There's some rotala in the back, it's overgrown, it's laying over the top. There is some algae growing on the moss, just like in Kevin's tank as well. We have some bucephalandra that's kind of sprinkled throughout, and this tank, just like the other one, just kind of hangs out. It does its thing, very low maintenance. We don't run CO2 on it. It just has the fluval light up here, which I think we're gonna change here in just a second, but very low maintenance tank, very easy to take care of, and Richard seems to do just fine in it. Something that is kind of unique about this aquarium is that we have some black Neo shrimp in here, and they really hide out. They're scared of Richard. Richard attacks them ferociously most of the time, at least the smaller ones, and I've actually caught him eating one of the shrimp. Like, he'll see one, he'll dart out and try to attack it. I've seen him gulp one up and then spit it out and have the shrimp be fine. So he gets a lot of hunting, and you know, that's good exercise for him. It's what he probably would want to do if he was in the wild. And so I'm cool with that behavior. I allow it. I can let the shrimp stay in here. He has probably eaten a lot of the smaller ones, but there definitely is an underlying population that hides in here. And whenever they come out, Richard is on them. Just like with the other tank, we have a lid on here. This is just a glass lid, I think, that came with the forest tank, and it fits pretty good on here, so we go with that. Filtration is a small Azu hang-on back filter, one of my absolute favorites for these kind of small tanks. This is, I think, an 8.8 gallon aquarium, if my memory serves me right, and it's just on this stand, which is the Aqueon stand that it came with. When we first got the ONF flat nanos, we tested it out on this tank as well as the forest tank, which we're going to take a look at here in just a second, but I never had a flat nano to go on this aquarium. We only had the one, and so luckily today we can change that. So here we go. Here's the pile of ONF stuff that I have yet to get to, and here is one of my 2 flat nanos. Ooh, there's the new light, guys. The ONF flat nano plus, the plus meaning it's app integrated and you can control it on a timer. I mean, these nano lights are kind of the perfect light for me, at least right now. Super good looking, stylish. It also gives you an awesome rendition of colors in your tank. Reds are redder, greens are greener, and everything just pops. And this is only at 50% power. But enough of that, I'll stop the ONF ad. There's obviously a link down in the description, guys, if you want to check these out on BucePlant or Amazon. They're both there. I do have coupons for one of those places, though, so I will say that. Let's now talk about the Aqua Terrarium, guys. So you might notice this little guy. This is the Flipper Pico, I think it is. Little glass cleaner, perfect for this thing because it's only got a little bit of glass. This thing has been hanging out. Some of the moss has gotten a little yellow, notably this stuff up here and, you know, some back there, but for the most part I think it still looks pretty good. Waterfall has really slowed down here over the last week or so, probably because the pump that's in the back, that Awaza, what is it, Optimax 250? Yeah, it just gets kind of clogged up, right? It's hiding in this back compartment in the back there, and it just inevitably gets stuff in it. So I have to reach back here every once in a while, like we're going to do right now, and shake it out, get that debris off. There we go. That's much, much better. Now, one thing that we can't really do much about is the other little waterfalls that we made. So if you saw that video, you know that we kind of broke off of the main line here and we ran some airline tubing to some of the other areas of this thing, like above this rock, to create a little bit more water flow, and it's really just kind of slowed down. It still is sending some water this way, but it's more so just like a constantly wet rock at this point, and you're gonna see that we have some algae growing on here, and I think that's pretty cool. Starting to see a little bit of algae in here, and I'm not really surprised. We did add some plants. The Monte Carlo is looking like it's doing okay. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to do much. We're not, you know, this isn't a high-tech setup by any means, and there is a lot of decomposition going on in here. So we do have a lot of nitrate, and I think that's what might be contributing to the little bit of algae that you do see in the water portion. The Anubias is doing really good. It's not, you know, been taken over or anything. I just saw one of our minnows. We have 3 of them in here, and they just love to hide. Like, let's see if we can see this guy over here. Kind of tough for you guys to see, but I don't know, maybe you saw him. There he is. There's 2 of them running around back there. They love to just hide out, which kind of sucks because I rarely get to see them when I turn around when I'm at my computer chair looking over at this thing. I typically don't see fish, so we might have to add some new ones here in the near future. Not much more to say about this thing. It just kind of hangs out, and I do a water change on it every week to keep that nitrate level down. That seems to be a consistent theme with this thing, just because, again, of all the decomposition, but it's not too difficult to manage. The ferns are doing really good. I'm starting to see a little runner or something being shot out from this guy right here. So all in all, still really happy with this project. We can't wrap up talking about the Aqua Terrarium without saying a big thank you to Waterbox Aquariums. They are the one that supplied this for me. This is the Terra. This is, you know, not their typical thing. Of course, they sell aquariums. That's their normal thing, but let's just get an appreciation for how level I was able to get this thing. I love filling this thing up all the way to the top. go ahead and check out Waterbox Aquariums, guys. Link in description if you're looking for a new tank. And if we now come over to the forest tank, we have some work to do. So here we are, after that little rearranging, pulling out some plants, not really rescaping, but just cleaning it up. I think the tank looks a lot better. We still have a lot of issues with algae in the moss in the back, and I think it's just gonna be impossible to get it completely back to like perfect how it was when we first set it up, or at least a few weeks after we first set it up. But this tank's been running for like a year now, maybe even a little bit longer, and so to have it still look like this, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little impressed with myself. But look, that's not to say that this tank hasn't gone through some crazy phases where it's looked absolutely horrible. It definitely has. You saw kind of the way it looked with all the plants overgrown. I hadn't been in this tank in a very long time, and that's gonna kind of go in tandem with a story about this tank, something that I was able to pull off with this aquarium and the inhabitants in it. I'm going to make a separate video about that because I think it's really, really interesting. This tank is definitely my favorite up here. It's, I think it's always been my favorite, and I know that you guys are probably liking this tank more than any of the other ones, from a scape perspective at least. We have a lot of little fine details in here. It's not nothing crazy, but just a little bit of leaf litter and the trail that goes up into the back. I think it just turned, this was one of my best scapes. And again, we did it like a year ago. If you're seeing this tank for the first time though, I mean, you got to go back through, just search forest tank, and the creation of this thing is going to pop up if you want to learn all about, what we did and how we made this tank. This ONF light is basically the same as what's on the other two tanks. It's just the non-app integrated one. So it just has a little touch panel, a little touch button here. We can go through, I think, like 4 different light settings, and it just does the trick on this thing. The purple in the back is just a little strip of LEDs on a piece of styrofoam that's pushed up to the top there. And again, Azu hang-on back filter, the same one that's on Richard's tank. Believe it or not, there are fish in this aquarium. You're just never going to be able to see them with me up here right next to it, okay? So we have, I can't actually remember the exact species or the type of Dario that we have in here, but we started out with a male and a female, and I'm not really going to, well, I kind of already gave it away, but there are more than 2 fish in here now. That kind of goes with part of that story that we're going to tell here eventually. But so you guys can check out the fish, let's throw in some clips here of me being over at my computer, looking over across the room, seeing the fish, and trying to run over here with the camera to get a shot of them. They just, as soon as you get anywhere near the tank, even if you're a few feet away from it, they immediately dart away. They are terrified of everything. That is essentially the forest tank, guys, and my new goal, I think, is to keep this tank going for as long as possible. I was sort of recently thinking about rescaping it, maybe even doing a similar scape on a bigger scale, but we'll save that for a whole different tank. My new goal is to see how long I can keep this thing going. Anyway, guys, I think that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I hope this was maybe a good distraction for you, and we'll start turning out some videos here more frequently. Hopefully try and do Wednesdays and Saturdays if you want to stay up to date with them. And we'll see how long this mohawk lasts. I don't know. I kind of like it though. Let me know what you think of my mohawk down in the comments below. I can't wait to read those. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next time.